Maze your friends, farmer showing off his farm to a friend. How many sheep would you say were in that flock? See if you can get close with a rough guess. Friend, after a short pause, I say there are about 497 sheep there. Why, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly right. How in the world did you know that? It was simple, really. I just counted all the legs and then divided by 4. The memory stunt contained in this chapter may not be as astounding as dividing the legs of sheep by 4, but it's certainly easier to do. You'll probably be glad to know that there are no mathematics involved at all, just a trained memory. A friend of mine in the textile business here in New York has told me that he has gained quite a reputation for himself by remembering numbers. He goes to lunch with a few business acquaintances each day, and he invariably asks them to give him any 4 or 5-digit number to memorize. He usually has anywhere from 3 to 6 people with him, and he memorizes the numbers they give him. They interrupt him during the luncheon to see if he can still recall the numbers. And of course he does. I don't mention this because it's a big deal, particularly, but it is a good conversation starter. And it has accomplished a purpose for my friend. He tells me that everyone in his trade is talking about him and his remarkable memory. I do mention it, however, to show you how people are impressed with any sort of memory feat, only because they feel they could never accomplish it themselves. If folks are so amazed when a man remembers a half dozen 4 or 5-digit numbers, you can imagine the fantastic effect upon them after you've mastered the stunt contained in these pages. How would you like to be able to memorize this list of numbers? That's right, you can memorize this list of 400 digits easily. Not only will you know them in order, but you also out of sequence. The idea is to give anyone a copy of this list and have them test you on it. They may ask you to give the numbers across for letter G or the numbers down for column 4. They can ask you E7 and you will immediately give them the number 6,720. In other words, you prove to them that you have thoroughly memorized the list, and so you have. My good friend and memory expert, Bernard Souffle, was the first one that I know of to use this type of stunt. He has been using it for many years, with 3-digit numbers instead of 4-digit numbers that appear here. He of course utilizes his own method of to memorize the list. I will teach you here the method that I use. You must realize by now that it would be almost impossible to accomplish this without the aid of phonetic alphabet. Certainly, it would be definitely impossible to memorize and retain numbers without it. As a matter of fact, this feat is so unbelievable to the uninitiated that you will find some people examining the list to find some mathematical solution. Let them, since this is not based on mathematics at all. They'll be more impressed and confused than ever. None of the 4-digit numbers in the list is repeated at any time. Each one is used only once. The numbers have not been chosen at random. I picked each one because it fits the system. And here is the system. If someone were to call E7, here is the way my mind would work. My keyword is E7. Must begin with the letter E, and it must have must have one other consonant sound at the end. That sounds, in this particular case, must be the sound that represents 7, which is the K or hard G sound. My keyword is E7. My keyword for E7 is egg. Eggs come from chickens, and the phonetic alphabet tells me that chicken stands for 6,720. If you check the list, you will see that 6,720 is the correct number. If B5 were called, I would know that the key word must begin with the letter B, and the ending consonant sound must be 1 for 5. The key word for B5 is bell. A bell rings 4,270. Can you see simplicity of it? Don't get me wrong. It'll take you a bit of time and study to master all the numbers. But the system is easy. Again, may I mention that this is not only a fantastic memory stunt, but a wonderful thinking and memory exercise. Each time you master one of the stunts in this book, whether you care to present them or not, you are improving your memory, exercising that muscle and sharpening your wits. Well then, you know that each time a letter and number are called, you must transpose it into a keyword. It doesn't matter if the number is called first. The system is the same. The letter is always at the beginning, and the consonant sound that repeats the number is at the end of the word. This keyword is correlated to or associated with another word, and this word gives you the 4-digit number. According to the phonetic alphabet, if someone were to call SC, you would know the keyword starts with C and ends with F or V sound. The keyword is cuff. Cuff is correlated with trouser. Trouser, 1,404. The entire list for 104-digit numbers follows here. After you have looked them over, I'll explain some more about the presentation of the feet. You'll notice that there is only one slight exception in the system. At 19, there is no word beginning with I and ending with P or B sound, with the P or B sound. So I use the word yipe, which serves the purpose just as well. Also, in every possible case, the sound representing the 4-digit number are contained in one word. There are only 8 instances where I found it necessary to use a phrase of 2 words. I'm sure that you all can see the simple association or correlation with each keyword. If you go over them once or twice, concerning on them as you do, you should remember most of them. Each keyword should lead you logically to the associated word Coke for C7. It's short for Coca-Cola, which is usually found on a dinner tables. EN for E2 is just the name of the letter itself, which is part of the alphabet. I don't think that any of the others need any explaining. You must learn all these words thoroughly before you can present this feat for your friends. After you've learned them, practice the transposing of the associated words or phrases into numbers. Once you can do that quickly, you're ready to present the feat. You can have the list printed on a card if you like, so that you can hand them out to your friends. Then, after you've demonstrated your fabulous powers of retention and recall, you can let them keep the card as a souvenir. Let them try to memorize it if they can. Aside from simply allowing your spectators to call the letter and number, you can go further. They can ask you to call out all the numbers diagonally from say A1 to J10. All you have to do is give the number for A1, B2, C3, D4, etc. They might ask you for row F backwards. You just give them F10, F0, F8, etc. If they wanted the 4-digit numbers backwards also, you can do that too. For example, you know the associated word for F10, fuse, is blend. Instead of giving the number 9,521, give it as 1,259. F9 is fibbing backwards. The number is 7,298. And so on. If you ask to give row 6 backwards, simply call off J6, 16, H6, G6 down, or up to A6. I know that it is difficult for some people to work backwards. With the alphabet, I can solve that problem for you easily. You can learn the representative number for any letter in the alphabet by utilizing the first 26 peg words in conjunction with a representative adjective. This is what I mean. Notice that the adjective for the peg word for 3 begins with the 3rd letter of the alphabet C. The loth adjective begins with the 10th letter J, etc. If you make a quick picture in your mind for each of these, you'll know the position numerically of all the letters. Of course, you can use any adjective you like, as long as it begins with the proper letter. If you wanted to know the position, say, of the letter O, just think of the adjective that you used, O towel. You know that towel is 15, therefore O is the 15th letter of the alphabet. You can use this idea or elsewhere in the book, this chapter 12, you will find the idea of how to use the 26 letters themselves in order to have a list of 26 secondary peg words. You can tie these words to your basic peg words, and you will have accomplished the same thing. You will know the numerical positions of all of the letters. Either one of these methods will enable you to use the letters of the alphabet to a much better advantage. Just thinking backwards from peg word 26 to peg word 1 will make it easy for you to recite an entire alphabet backwards. This in itself is a good stunt, since most people cannot recite an alphabet backwards without quite a bit of effort. However, the important thing is that this idea will be of use when you're asked to give a numbered row backwards or diagonally from J10 to A1 or J1 to A10. After doing this stunt for a while, you will find that eventually you will not even think of the keywords and associations. As soon as the letters and numbers is called, the 4-digit number will pop into your mind. This is the beauty of mnemonics. It's just an aid for your true memory. It is a means to an end. And once you've reached or acquired that end, you can forget the means.